What's going on, guys? TieFly85 here again, and I am joined today with Vin. Say hi, Vin.
Hi, Vin.
All right, guys, and welcome back to another episode of MG Nights. Now, today, for a lot of you who watched our podcast yesterday, we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead. Now, it's a video I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I'm pretty stoked that Vin is able to help me along on this journey here today. So, I did have some pre-made questions for you, Vin, that I kind of wanted to go over. Let's go ahead and start though first with what did you think of overall as far as for season 8? What did you think about season 8?
I'm glad that it came to an end the way that it did. Honestly, I was actually pretty impressed with the ending. Which I know that one of the questions kind of gets into the ending and the favorite part of season 8, which was basically the ending for me. So, but, I think it dragged on for, 7 and 8 together, and I'm ready for the next storyline personally.
Yeah, no, for sure. I completely agree with you. I do really feel like it did kind of drag on for a little bit there towards maybe like the beginning up until... which kind of leads me in, honestly, to the first major question that I have for season 8 for you. This one might kind of throw you, though. Spoilers, too, for anybody who's watching this who is not caught up on The Walking Dead. But the biggest one overall that I wanted to ask you is, how did you feel about Carl's death?
I was never really a fan of Carl until the last couple of seasons. And the way that he evolved and the way that he kind of took over. I was definitely not expecting it, to say the least. But I feel that I don't know. I guess I feel that it was time for, personally either him or Rick to go. So, and then now with, all the news of, once again, possible spoilers because with Rick possibly departing, I'm curious to see who's going to take over. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to really wrap my head around, when he left and then now trying to figure out who's going to take over if Rick does go.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think it threw me completely off. Like I was not honestly prepared for Carl to leave. I'm kind of there with you as well. Like I wasn't necessarily a super huge fan of Chandler Riggs or even Carl in general, but the character overall was really good, and I was pretty surprised just because of his story arc for the Whisperers in the comic book. So it's interesting to see who definitely will take over that particular part, which just leads me into my next question that I had for you. Is what do you think about AMC not doing a teaser for the Whisperers in the finale? Like, there's literally no talks at all about the Whisperers. What do you think of that?
Well, not following the comics. I've done some research on it, and I kind of agree. I hope that Angela Kang is going to almost take it in a different direction. I think that with the jump arounds that we've had between the storyline of the comics and just the TV series, I almost hope they do it like next season. I would rather see everybody kind of get to where they need to go and kind of start fresh. I don't know. At this point, I don't know if it even makes sense for them to bring in the Whispers. Personally.
So you're saying you want them to wait till season 10, and this season will focus mainly on them just kind of surviving, basically.
Surviving, and then also focusing on the time jump. And then with the time jump, especially seeing the new poster boards of the Capitol in the background, the helicopter. Maybe focus on the Commonwealth and figure out kind of where they're going. What new adventure I guess will lead them to the Whispers. So just hearing and seeing a few things about just the new backgrounds that we're seeing for season 9. I don't know. I almost think they should focus on those things as opposed to the Whispers, and then lead into it and just
one of the biggest
see what happens.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. One of the biggest things overall with you talking about the new screenshots or the backgrounds, one of the biggest things that I did notice with Maggie is that she doesn't have her baby bump. So it's leading me to believe that with the time jump that she will have already had the baby, and when we go into season 9, like we may not even see that. So like the baby just may be there, maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hmm. Well, just doing a little bit of research on it, and even the talks that we have, on a weekly basis, it's supposedly the baby will be there, but and again, I know nothing's been confirmed yet. So I'd be curious, I guess. So if they did a 2-year time jump, the baby would be what, like a year and a half old, maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really all depends on the actual time frame with the jump. But yeah, I mean, if it was a 2-year time jump, then yeah, I mean, basically it would be about a year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, I think as far as it goes for the ending, she was already roughly at about like 6 months when season 8 ended. So if
I
they're
think
doing it,
so.
yeah. So I think it'll probably be about a year and a half. The baby could potentially be a year and a half old when we
Yeah.
pick back up. So I guess we'll
Yeah,
see on that.
we still see. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we shall definitely see. Now, moving on from that one, I did have another question here. What did you think about overall? What did you think about Negan surviving? Because I know it was a pretty big thing overall that the biggest, huge story arc for season 8 was that we're going to kill Negan because it's revenge. So,
Yeah.
what did you think about that?
So let's bring in. I'll answer that, and then I guess throw in my favorite part of season 8. In a way, I was kind of happy for Negan to go, but towards the end, with everything that happened, the way that he responded to Carl's death, and just some of the things that were said in the last few episodes of season 8, I'm glad that Rick saved him. I think he should be a part of it, but nothing to what he was in 7 and 8. I don't want him to be the main storyline of trying to get rid of Negan and try to kill Negan and the Saviors. I want him to stay around, but I want him to be more of an integral part of the other groups and focus on what of his group is left, not to mention Rick's group and Alexandria. So I mean, just to answer said both of those questions, I was actually super excited that Rick saved him. I loved that part. It was my favorite part.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It definitely, like, it wasn't a shocker to me that it ended up happening just because I am familiar
Yeah.
with the comics overall. But, I mean, I thought for sure with them divulging from the comic with Carl's death, like, I thought maybe they were taking a completely different turn and then they may end up actually killing off Negan. So when it didn't happen, like, I was just like, oh, okay. So it leads me to believe that maybe some of the comic book moments may still end up in the show. We'll have to see
Mm-hmm.
going forward, especially with Angela Kang now taking over as lead. Now let's go ahead and move into season 9 because there's a lot of information as far as it goes, and I know that we both have talked of a lot of information and seen a lot of information. I would probably say one of the biggest things that I'm curious as to what you think is what do you think about Andrew Lincoln, aka Rick, leaving The Walking Dead?
Well, I mean, with Carl gone, and then if he leaves too, I just I love me some Rick Grimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do. I like that guy, man. I mean, he's started it. I was definitely hoping he would finish it. I know in the comics, from what I kind of gather, is that he does die, with the story kind of continuing. Um, Pretty much what I've heard. Like, I know you're more in tune with the comics than I am, so I'm not 100% sure on how far along he goes before he does die in the comics. But I'd like, with Carl gone, I mean, I would like to see him stay. Now, going forward, there's been talks about Daryl, getting paid all this money and being a real huge part and maybe even finishing out the series as kind of the leader. So yeah, I want the guy.
That's a lot of the stuff that I've heard too. I mean, you don't give somebody $20 million, and then like if they're not going to be some kind of major important role, because I don't even think Andrew Lincoln got $20 million to re-sign for the next contract. I don't think anybody got that much money. He got the most money.
Yeah.
I mean, Daryl and Norman Reedus definitely got the most. And it makes sense, too, because if you've seen the new Twitter, the new banner, which shows all of their faces together, it's always been Rick in the middle. And then everybody kind of branches out from there. And this time around now it's freaking Daryl in the middle with everybody branching out from Daryl. So it definitely seems like it's being pushed that direction, that Daryl is going to be taken over as the lead. But like me and you had the conversation before, it makes me wonder if maybe Daryl is just going to take over within season 9, and then potentially maybe Rick makes a return. Maybe he doesn't die, he just kind of disappears, and then who knows, maybe he comes back at the very end. So that could be pretty interesting overall. I don't know if I would necessarily be totally on board with Daryl completely taking over. I mean, it's Rick's story. Like, The Walking Dead has always been Rick's story, so I don't know about that.
Well, and you think about it, too, there's a lot of talk about 6 episodes. And the other thing I've been hearing, and especially something I watched from the Spoiling Dead fans, is supposedly they were getting some stuff about episode 5, and almost like a Glenn, is he dead type moment where we don't see him for a while. And I think even me and you hit on this, too. Maybe there's some sort of a pre-death, he's gone, and then season finale of 9, he comes back and, gives some sort of an out to either him leaving the show for good, or he will come back at some point. Like, you can almost feel that he'll be back. Maybe he goes on a separate mission, I don't know. But there's so much speculation, so many rumors on it.
There's definitely a crap ton of rumors on this. There's like so many rumors, it's so hard to even pinpoint anything. Which leads me to the next big rumors as well, is what do you think about Maggie Reed, a.k.a. Lauren Cohan, leaving The Walking Dead as well?
In a way, I almost kind of feel like that she's been a part of it, obviously, a big part of it. Season 8, there was times where she was bigger than others, and I almost feel like they've known about it to where they're almost have an out for her. I love Maggie, don't get me wrong. She's been there since season 2, since the farm, right?
Yeah.
And I want to see her stay, but a part of me has felt like they are going to push her out. Maybe AMC has known about this for a long time, and they've slowly declined her character, building up other people to take over her reign. But yeah, I mean, just to simplify what you asked, I mean, I'd like to see her stay, but there's so many rumors. I think we have a lot in the next few months to come. Hopefully we'll get some clarification, and then especially the first half of season 9, really get the best indication of what happens.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. One of the biggest things, I just want to kind of throw in a shameless plug here for Laura Cohan, but if none of you have seen the trailer yet with her and Marky Mark doing their new movie called Mile 22, you guys have to go watch that trailer. It looks amazing, and I'm really excited to see Lauren Cohan in like something else other than The Walking Dead. So it's really awesome to see them all branching out. Moving on from that, though, I know we kind of touched on this, but like, what are your true feelings as far as like Daryl taking over as lead from Rick? Like, do you think that will hurt the show in the long run? Do you think it's just going to kill the show off? Because I know people are like, Daryl dies, we riot. But like, I've never heard anybody say Rick dies, we riot. So, I mean, do you think what do you think about that?
I think Daryl is a huge part of it. I love the guy. But me and you have talked about this before. He's not a leader, right? I mean, he's an awesome right-hand man. He's a guy that you want on your team. But I think they would have to pull a pretty big 180 for him to just all of a sudden, or however they work up to him leading into a lead role, to where it's based off consistently based off his decisions and what to do next and how we go forward. I mean, maybe they go from episode 5 to episode 7 and he gets a haircut, throw him in a suit, something special like that. I mean, something's got to change with him in the way how he acts. So, he's a great actor. I love him where he's at. I just don't see him being in a lead role. But this show surprised me a bunch.
Yeah.
So let's say that it's a possibility. So.
Yeah, no, as far as Daryl taking over for Rick, I mean, I know we had this conversation. Yeah, I just don't see him as a lead character, and especially the way that they portrayed him all of season 8 when Negan actually got him, and they kind of showed that whole, Easy Street, the whole like song, and they were breaking him down, and then like the whole like him coming back to Rick, and I don't know, they just didn't really. He's a really great leading character, like a supporting, like sidekick. He's an amazing sidekick, but he's never like the main guy that's like, we're going to follow you. So I totally get that. And I would have to wait and see, I think, before I would pass complete judgment. But the show's all about Rick. So I don't understand how you get rid of Rick and continue the show. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Moving on from that one, I did have another one. What do you want to see going forward, like long term with The Walking Dead? Because I mean, if Rick is leaving and Daryl is taking over, we don't know if it's going to be a rise in viewership, a decline in viewership, but like, what would you like to see going forward? Like what do you have any kind of grandiose ideas for The Walking Dead?
I've been thinking about that lately, and I almost don't. I mean, I think part of me would like to see them, build the new world. They've said the new world a bunch of times. And if they could sustain some stuff and, build a future for everyone and try to bring back civilization, that would be kind of cool. But it's kind of one of those things, and I'm going to throw in a completely random show. Me and you used to be huge Dexter fans, right?
Love Dexter.
Love me some Dexter.
Gotta get me some Morgan.
So you look at it this way. At the end of the day, and even listening to the show writers and the people that started from season 1 of Dexter, we always knew it was going to end bad with Dexter. Always. I mean, and, I really hated the way that it ended, but it made sense, with everything that guy's done, and the way that the world was that he created. It had to go that way. So in a way, you almost got to think that maybe everything goes to hell in a handbasket, right? The groups that we know, and maybe it does go to the Whispers. Maybe it does just, at the end of the day, turn over to the zombies. So I know that's two different scenarios, but I guess a part of me would like to see them end with some sort of happiness, if it's possible. But you got to ask yourself, is it possible? So
I'm like on the complete opposite spectrum there. I would love to just see that everyone dies and the dead took over, and like that's it. Like the whole series was that's it, bitches. Like the final scene is the last survivor gets hit, and then the whole final episode is just their final moments before the show is just over. Yeah. Like that would just be some crazy. That would just be crazy. Nobody would be expecting it. I think that's why it'd be so crazy. So as far as it goes for the one final question that I had for you, and we'll go to wrap this up, is do you want to see the Whispers in season 9?
No.
No, okay. I think you did kind of touch on that where you were saying you'd rather see them in 10 and come back.
I don't know. I think they're going a different direction. I really do.
I've heard a lot about the Commonwealth. Like people talking about like maybe they'll introduce more of the Commonwealth instead with what was it, Marjorie or Jackie, or I can't remember what that lady's name was.
Marjorie.
Yeah. If they're gonna, so I would be more interested to see a lot more of that. I'm also curious to know, is the Commonwealth the ones who had the helicopter? Because if anybody noticed too, when they showed the Capitol in the background with like Maggie and Rick and them, there was the little helicopter in that picture. Mm-hmm. It showed the helicopter. So I mean, I'm glad to know that they're still going to stick with that storyline, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it involves with the helicopter. But I'm curious to know who the hell had that helicopter and what the
Yeah.
significant was. Plus, also too, what the hell the garbage people had to do with the helicopter. So I'm curious to find that out because I hope they
Well,
would do flashbacks like with them still alive, but they would do flashbacks to show the helicopter coming, and that's why she was so freaked out to like get the attention, you know. So
sure.
I'm curious to know more about that as to why.
We better. I mean, come on, Walking Dead. We
No
better see
doubt.
some. I mean, yeah, that's been playing out for quite a while, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
coming.
definitely
It's
needs.
got to be
Yeah,
coming.
we need some closure on that for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that's all we have for you today. Those are all the questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, go ahead and slap that like button. I just want to say thank you so much to Vin for joining me today on this adventure for the very first episode of my Walking Dead. Basically, going forward, I did want to kind of try to, tackle one of these a week if possible. If not, maybe every other week. Just talk about The Walking Dead, things that are going on, things that we see happening, things that we're excited about. Well, that's really it. So, thanks a lot, Ben, for, taking the time to come on and give us your thoughts and opinions. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks, Tyfly. I'm
Yeah,
excited to do this again. Definitely.
for sure. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We definitely appreciate your time. And always remember, stay awesome.